Hej och välkomna till ännu en intervju med min fina vän Jackie Nonweiler. Jackie är en framtida läkare inom psykologi. Om några månader så är hon förhoppningsvis färdig. Hon är initierad som healer i kung Salomons härstamning. Hon hjälper människor inte bara genom livsaktivering utan också genom moderna psykologtekniker att leva ett bättre liv på lång sikt. Hon studerade också psykologi vid ett av världens bästa universitet, King College, London. Hon är tillgänglig på Instagram under Sanctuary Healing Center och online på sanctuaryhealingcenter.com. Och jag kommer dela hennes länkar i informationen under videon. Så nu byter vi till engelska för själva intervjun. Hello Jackie, and thank you for taking the time.
Hi, karl-simon. Nice to see you. Thanks for having me.
My absolute pleasure. We're talking about the life activation today, and let's get started. So first question is, why did you choose to receive the life activation?
Yeah, the life activation is one of my favorite topics, so I'm really glad to be here talking to you about it today. I originally got a life activation because I was actually looking for a new mentor and a new guide, and I found someone, and I remember just feeling magnetized to this person. I didn't know why. I didn't understand what it was about, but I had this like deep, deep feeling inside me that I needed to do whatever it was that she had to offer. And I had no idea what that even was at the time. Um, this was at the beginning of COVID. And I remember one day speaking to her on the phone about something and explaining to her that I was struggling because I knew that there was nothing wrong with my life, but I couldn't stop worrying about it anyway. And so it was like I was having these thoughts and concerns about, yeah, kind of my direction, my purpose, what I was doing, even though I had kind of at the same time an understanding that where I was exactly where I needed to be. And she recommended that I do something called life activation and empower thyself. And I had no idea what that was. And I was kind of like, okay, fine. And then it took me about 9 months actually to do it. I was living in Spain at the time and I ended up needing to fly to London and overcome a few personal things to get there. But yeah, when I did, I knew I was in the right place. So just someone suggested it to me and I felt like it was probably the right thing for me to try out, even though I didn't understand why.
Messing with me. Thank you for that answer. I also lived in Spain when I received life activation and empowered myself. That's cool. So going from not knowing what it is, not understanding, but trusting in something that this is for me to fix whatever is wrong, that isn't wrong. So why did you choose then to go forward and offer the life activation to others?
Yeah, so at the time I had no idea even that that the life activation or empower thyself was part of anything. I just thought that I had found one person who had something to offer who I believed. And when I was sitting in empower thyself on the first day, I learned about lineage. And I learned that so much of why the tools worked was about lineage. And again, it was this kind of like deeper understanding, but something that my mind couldn't really wrap its head around. I didn't quite get it. Um, and I just sort of took it as like, well, let's see. I come from a science background, so I thought, let's see. And a few months later, I received an email from, I think like I got put onto the Modern Mystery School mailing list. And I got an email that Healers Academy would be happening in Toronto. And I opened the email and I read it, and I remember exactly where I was when I read it. Um, and I just knew I'm going. I read the email and I knew I'm going, and I had no idea why. Really, I had no idea why. But I trusted it because it was an instinct and something that came from deep, deep inside of me. And that kind of thing I try not to ignore. So that's why I went to Healers Academy. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, it's good to trust yourself and trust the voice within when it comes
Yeah. And like
from deep.
the understanding of what Healers Academy brought me and gave me has deepened massively with time. But at the time I mean, I knew I was gonna learn how to do a life activation and kind of take the next step on the path or whatever. But I didn't I didn't understand the value of Healers Academy until actually a few months after I did it, because you spend so much time in this healing temple. You spend 5 days in a healing temple. Um, and the aftermath of that led to really big changes in my life and kind of a strengthening. And I developed this, yeah, kind of quiet fortitude that I didn't have before, that led me to make really big decisions, but from a centered place and from a place that was actually easy. And yeah, and it set me even further on the trajectory that doing life activation and doing Empower Thyself already had. And then gave me the opportunity as well to serve and give back to other people in the same way that getting a life activation had done for me, right? It gave me a purpose, it gave me a sense and an understanding of who I was and what I could do and my role in the world and in the universe. And I wanted to give that to other people.
That's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So you talked about a little bit about the changes that Healers Academy brought, but that first weekend of life activation and empower thyself, could you just share a little bit about the initial changes that you noticed in your life?
Yeah. The thing that's important about life activation and about Empower Thyself is that it happens on such a deep structural level through your body, soul, and spirit that it's not always clear how deeply it's impacted you in the moment. And that was certainly the case for me. I did life activation and I remember feeling like a bit bored, not bored, but antsy, I think is a better word for it during the session. Um, and I think it's actually reflective of where I was in my ability to receive healing and to open up and to be, yeah, to be comfortable kind of not being on the giving end and not really being the one always in control, which is the way I perceived it. Um, and I remember leaving life activation feeling just like a bit dizzy, and not really knowing, kind of one of those, oh, what just happened kind of moments. And then an Empower Thyself was much the same way. Like I knew there were deep things happening. I felt them, but I wasn't exactly sure what they were. I couldn't quite put my finger on what it was. Um, and it's a lot of information that I felt like I had taken in. And I just thought, like, let's see, open mind. And I remember, I think I got to like kind of October time, so about 3 months after my initial life activation, and thinking, wow, I'm a completely different person. And it was so natural and so easy. Like, I started implementing changes and doing things that I never would have considered doing before, but from such an aligned and clear place that I didn't even question them. It wasn't difficult. It wasn't like I was overcoming obstacles or facing barriers or like, when something feels like a struggle, even when you're breaking through and reaching kind of your next level, it didn't feel that way anymore. It felt aligned to take action and to move forward. And I think that was probably my own biggest change from life activation.
Beautiful. I'm really happy you found the lineage and the meant our paths could cross as well, which is really, really beautiful when we get to meet new people.
Absolutely.
So if you would like to give your 2 cents on who would benefit from receiving a life activation in the world that we live in right now?
I mean, everyone. Like, it's the life activation switches you on to your potential and who you are in a way that no other tool can. And when you think about that, the impact of that, the investment, the time, whatever you have to do to overcome and to get into a session to receive a life activation is a complete no-brainer, actually, because it's who you are. It reminds you who you are. It turns on the lights in your life. Like, you're a dark and abandoned house without a life activation, trying to navigate the world with no lights and no map, and you can't see. So to go and get a life activation is obvious, actually. And it just takes enough of a leap and enough trust and enough like, let's just see what happens to do it. And if I had stayed stuck in all my stories and all my questions and all my doubts, which I had just like everyone does in their life about whatever it is that's your next big step. If I had trusted those instead of trusted this thing inside me that thought, maybe there is something here for me, I would have done myself such a disservice. So I encourage anyone to take the leap, to try it, and to see what it can do for you.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Jackie, for your time and your sharing, and just that you exist on this planet, on this path right now. It's really beautiful. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening, commenting, subscribing, and sharing, and everything. It makes me really, really happy. So until next time, thank you and goodbye.
Thank you.